All right, Shiver, you know what that means. It's time to dig through some more boards. Oh, I love doing this. Let me get it unwrapped and get the lid out of the way, and we will dive in. First up, an apology for the fashion statement that I'm making. I don't know where my hat is. I might have left it back at home or something like that, but we've got a really bright sun coming down here, so I want to protect my head a little bit and avoid sunburn. So the fashion statement, I hope y'all really enjoy it. Low grade. All right, so somebody was depopulating this board. So that's just low grade junk now. Although they did leave a gold corner on there, so we'll get that. That's gonna be a peripheral board. Another low grade. So that would probably be a mid-grade. I throw all my mids and lows together in one bucket. Yeah, we have a loose hard drive. Another hard drive. That's gonna be a peripheral board. That's going to be another low grade. It's just power stuff on here. And then what chips are on here are covered with lacquer. Ooh, I bet you all know what that is. I'm going to put that aside. Go ahead and leave it down in the comments. Let me know when you identify that. I'm sure you all know what that is. Now that's going to be a nice board there. That's a, that's going to be a Telecom board. We have a lot of chips and ICs on here, very densely populated with ICs. So yeah, that's going to be a Telecom board. I think that's going to go with the peripherals. Low grade, it's completely covered with lacquer. And that's just a floppy drive of some sort. I just throw that in shred. Yeah, I guess we'll put it there. Let's see, what do we have here? So those are going to be Telecom low. We've got a reasonably dense population of chips and stuff on this side, but this side is all lower grade kind of stuff. But it did come out of Telecom, so Telecom low. That one's going to be Telecom high. Lots of chips on there. And this is a So this is going to be a P4 small socket plastic. It's not, there's no AM or FM on the edge there. So that's a pretty good price right there. Oh yeah, that's a definite Telecom board. I'll take off this bracket and then we'll have a Telecom high grade board there. Yeah, it's just going to be a little peripheral board. The loose components I throw in with the low-grade stuff unless it's something like this copper coil, which I'll set aside. Here's another peripheral board. That, I think, is going to be a large socket motherboard. I'm pretty sure a US quarter will fit in there. I'll check it. But that just really looks like a large socket motherboard to me. It's hard to say because the bracket part is missing, but I'm thinking that that's going to be an I-series type motherboard. Low grade, shred. Where'd I put the shred? Over there. Here's a beat up laptop. And there's another laptop. We have a computer in here, that's cool. All right, so I gotta hit the heatsink off of there. I don't know, for now I'm gonna throw it in my peripheral low grade, my Telecom low grade, but we may downgrade it after that. That's going to be another small socket plastic, P4 type. Peripheral, but I have to take this part off. Low grade. Well, that's an interesting board. We've not seen one like this before. On this side, we have all of these surface mounted chips, and then over here we have what appears to be a whole bunch of gold kind of connector plating stuff going on here. A very interesting board. I'm going to put this with the Telecom high grades. I'll probably take off that transformer. Laptop. We have a few of these now. Really interesting. I'm going to look up the part number and stuff and see what this is. And here we have a small metal socket. Network video recorder. We'll see what's underneath of these. At a minimum, we're talking peripheral high grade, but we'll see what's under those after we get everything cleaned up. That might be from an older laptop. Yeah, I'm thinking that's a laptop. I'm putting all of the motherboards in one bin so that I can go through later on. Right, so we have a number of socket mounted ICs here that we can pull off. Big old heavy transformer, and then if we take off the power part of this, we're going to have a nice possible Telecom low, but this stuff has got to come off. That's a nothing board. Oops. Yeah, that was some sort of tactile switchboard, push button board of some sort. It's just low grade. Huh, very interesting. We have a lot of scorching over here on this part. It's a Telecom board. Not sure what that scorching was from, but yeah, it's a Telecom high grade board. Peripheral high grade, gold cornered BGA, some ICs, but a lot of junk. There's another Telecom board. Gotta get those heat sinks and stuff off of there. Another motherboard. Another motherboard. And looks like an integrated motherboard. I miss a lot. Ooh, nice Telecom, or wait a minute. So this might go as a, this is either going to go as a Telecom or probably as a large socket motherboard, because it probably had the sockets here. So I'm thinking large socket motherboard, but I'll do a little more research on it. And a PC. Another motherboard. I can't, the shelf for the socket is gone, so I'll have to, I'm thinking that's going to be I series or AMD type. This came from the floods. You can see the mud, so this was still left over from Helene. We got to clean this up before we make a decision on, because I got to see what's underneath it here. Some variety of, well, I'm going to clean off all this junk, and then this will go at least peripheral hydrate. More motherboards. There's a backplane board. And there's another Telecom board from a switch. Ooh, gold finger card. So this obviously came from some sort of camera device, optical device. We'll remove this part, and we'll see, we might even have a real nice chip behind this part here. I want to take a minute to talk a little bit about sorting boards and how to pay for them. You'll notice on some places like boardsort.com, they have a category for mixed boards, or they have a note that they have a fee that you have to pay. If you send this crate to boardsort.com, you know, there's a labor cost involved for them to sort through all these boards, and that's why they have to charge that. It's a very legitimate thing to do. Now, the agreement that I have with this company that I get these pallets from is I have reduced the payout for the different types of boards in lieu of a fee or a sort fee that I would charge them. You know, one way or another, it needs to balance out. This is just the way that it works for me with this company. I have a very good relationship with this company. You know, I just back the truck up. They load the pallet. We don't do any paperwork or weighouts there. I bring it back here. I sort it, weigh it, and then bring them an itemized invoice of what I have found. And of course, it also helps that they can just watch these videos if they want. But, you know, as you develop your business, and you get to where you're getting these mixed board loads, you have to decide how you want to deal with sorting the material, because it does take a while. You know, an hour, 2 hours or so to sort through a box like this, that's money out of your pocket. Your time is money. So when you get to that point, just think it through and recognize that if your scrapyard has a sorting fee, there's a very legitimate reason for it. Telecom low. Large socket motherboard, I believe. I'll check that a quarter goes in there, but I'm pretty sure it will. Yeah, peripheral low grade. There's another Telecom low. What I might do with this one is I might cut it here, and that would be Telecom high, and then this part Telecom low, because there's all this empty space here. Yeah, I got to think about that one for a little bit. I might give Oscar a try on that one. So this had a whole bunch of tubes going in here. Interesting. I'm going to have to assess some of these motherboards because the socket frame is missing, so I'm going to have to make sort of a judgment call. I'm pretty sure this would have been an I series. We've got a rectangular shaped socket. We have a flip chip, but we have no gold cornered BGA, so that's pretty classic I series kind of layout. Very nice Telecom high grade board here. Very densely populated. This is classic Telecom high grade. We've got some nice EPROMs here. Some of them I can see some nice gold inside there. So we'll need to take off this bracket to make that Telecom high grade. And this one, very similar, just a lot more EPROMs on this one. There's another Telecom board, Telecom high. Another Telecom high grade board. Low grade. Looks like a small socket. We've got, that's square, so it's probably a P4 small socket, gold cornered BGA, probably another one underneath, flip chip underneath of there, but yeah, that's pretty classic P4 small socket look. calling that one Telecom high grade. So this is just like, this is similar to one I just threw in there. Very densely populated with ICs and some tantalum capacitors, MLCCs, very clearly visible gold-plated connectors. So that's a nice Telecom board. I'm going to put this in with the Telecoms for the time being. We have 2 gold cornered BGAs, a bunch of flat ICs, flat pack kind of things, some small caps, more ICs on the back. But yeah, I'm going to throw that in with the Telecom while I reconsider it. Come on, you. We had to dig you out a little bit, don't we? A tablet with a very destroyed screen. Oh, that's the one I just picked up. This happens a lot with these guys. Copper ends up inside there. I usually just take it back to them because, you know, I don't pay them for the copper. Huh. So that's a power board, but it has these small RAM looking things, but they're not RAM because it's all power components. I gotta think about what I'm gonna do with that. I'm gonna put this in with the bucket that's got the RAM that I found while I figure out what I'm gonna do with those. Really wish I could find my hat. Oh, Intel Pentium. The ceramic CPU is still in place. Peripheral high grade, and that's low grade. That's all power supply stuff. Gonna have to clean up all the stuff that fell out or that I missed or that I threw in the wrong bin. But this is what I call the gross sort to get me started. All right, it's always much easier once I get it broken down to this point where I don't have to keep climbing up and leaning over. Now, we've had a lot of this. It looks like 2 peripheral boards on a sheet of steel. So I've started separating these all on their own, and I think I'm gonna have to pay these out as low grade because I've got to account for all the steel and the fact that I have to spend some time working on these. So I think I'm going to probably buy these as low grade. There's just so many of them in here. And then there are some of the boards that have come off of them, and that can go as peripheral low grade. And then once I remove that little battery and the heatsink, it would be peripheral high grade. There, see, there's a nice peripheral high grade board. I'm still wrestling with this. One side looks really nice with big chunky tantalums and ICs, and the other side is all power stuff. So I'm throwing them in the low grades for now. I mean, at a minimum, it would be mid grade. And then this is going to be peripheral high grade once I get it off of this. There's a nice peripheral high grade board. And these are pieces of finger strip card. That'll be peripheral high grade. No problem there. This is an LCD board, so once I get the screen off, it'll be a peripheral high grade. Not sure where that one ended up. There's more of these. There's just so many of these in here. I'd love to know what they came from. Low grade. Oops. I always have to go back and clean up the sort because I miss frequently. Another LCD screen, that'll be a peripheral when I get it clean. Low grade. Some of these even have nice copper heat sinks. Network video recorder. Boy, this would be so much easier if I had a forklift. Nice high grade board, Telecom high grade. And there's the bigger card that comes off of that, those ones on the metal. I'm going to buy those as Telecom low grade. Because it's got that big old heatsink on there. Been quite a few Goldfinger cards of various types, slot cards of various types in here. Got a nice bucket full over here. That's a power supply. Put that in with the low grades for now. Get that stuff out later. Trash. Ooh, another Telecom high. Another slot card. Come to me, scrap. Man, still got a bunch of these. There's so many of these in here. Screw. Another power supply. Copper aluminum heatsink. There's a tiny little hard drive, like a laptop hard drive. Battery. I have a couple of laptops that are missing batteries, so I'm going to try to put those in some laptops. the bottom of the box. Hey, while I finish up sorting and sweeping and cleaning up this mess, why don't you check out the videos that are popping up on either side of me? And the big round thing in the middle, that's to help you to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Man, I can't wait to finish the way out on all of this, but I think that's going to be a different video.